Grant grew up on a working ranch between Comfort and Fredericksburg, Texas. After graduating from Comfort High School, he attended Tarleton State University, where he earned a BS in animal industries. He's now a fourth-generation rancher at Hillingdon Ranch with his wife, Misty, two sons, Wade and West, and parents, Robin and Carol. Registered Angus cattle, fine wool sheep, Angora goats, and white-tailed deer are central to managing the natural resources of a network of family and extended family land. Grant, now I'll really turn it over to you.
Thank you. Hillingdon Ranch is where we operate and where we call home, and it's a piece of property that's between Comfort and Fredericksburg that my great-grandfather bought after he was held up in a stagecoach robbery, and close to where the ranch is now. And he passed it on to my grandfather Palmer, who decided that he was going to close a successful architecture firm to live full time at the ranch as a rancher. And my father has ranched his entire life there, and successfully brainwashed me to return to do the same thing he did, and I'm working on my two boys currently. So it is a complex situation, we feel like, but it's also entertaining. The different personalities that we work with that are related, and we can go from one end of the ranch to the other and go through about 12 gates, and every time you go through another fence line, you've got a different set of people that all have input on how to manage that piece of property. And but if you take a step back and you look at it, it looks like it's all being managed by one unit. And we take a good bit of input from all those different people, and we still try to make a living with that opportunity there. It's cattle, sheep, and goats is a pretty traditional way. Maybe there's easier ways of making a living, but we're fairly traditional in that aspect. But we also feel like that sort of gives the family an identity, as far as that they belong to something that has occurred for over 130 years, and that uniqueness, I think, is something that's going to help us keep this going on to the next generation. Many of the family does not live there on the property, and so they come out whenever they can, and we're there every day operating, and whenever they do come out, it's you may have ideas on certain jobs certain tasks you want to complete, but whenever you run into those landowners unannounced, it's an opportunity to generate the interest in their own property and generate the interest in what you're doing as far as benefiting their property and carrying it forward to the next generation. And we take a lot of pride in how their land reflects on our management, and every bit of those properties, depending on the weather conditions, is a reflection on you, and has something to do with your reputation as far as a land manager. And where do we go from here?
I got a question.
Yes.
Either within your own family or other families that you observe, what are some examples, if there are any, that you've seen yourself on the interest, the management style, and or any other practices from one generation to the next?
What are the different
Approaches, different opinions, different agreements or disagreements, those kinds of things, in terms of what you've seen different generations.
Yes, I mean, when you get that many people involved in a congruent piece of property, it's you're obviously not going to have the same ideas on how to manage it. So, you know, some of the things that we've seen are different interests. Say, you know, one family may be, you know, very, very interested in monarch butterfly habitat, whereas others may be very, very interested in just white-tailed deer hunting. And but then, you know, it's our job to tie all of these special interests in we tend to fall into favoring one species over another, but it's, you know, that holistic approach to the management is something that we need to definitely, you know, be part of our story, part of our management process, and part of, you know, generating that culture for all of these landowners to move forward.
I have a large family. It's only 6 of us, but extremely varying opinions, huge egos, quite difficult to come up with any one plan. And you're talking about 100 or I don't know how many, about a lot of different people. And I don't know how you can come to a consensus. Luckily, water unites people, you know, and saving species and all that, wildlife. Everyone agrees with that. But when it comes to spending money, like on brush management or anything like that, that's when we get into our huge differences and arguments. And I wish there was some kind of secret of how you pick one manager and trust one manager without fights.
Well, we try to put ourselves in the situation of budgets do cause confrontation amongst family members, and to be able to take responsibility over some of those things like brush management and fencing and road construction and maintenance. If we can take responsibility of those things and take it back out by utilizing the properties with a livestock enterprise, that's how we feel like we are able to continue. And that absentee landowner that comes out, it's not just a bunch of headaches and a bunch of things that they have to spend money on when they come out there. They can actually come out and they can enjoy their property, but know that those things are in responsible hands.
How do they pick? Like, how did you get picked to be the manager? I mean, is there like a board meeting and they all vote, or is it just you've always done it?
People don't like change for the most part, and and if you're doing, we're very conscientious about the job that we're doing, and I feel like, you know, it's resonating, and people can see that we are doing the best we can with their land. So and we do get constructive criticism, and we try to make the most of that, and we really invite that, honestly, because you know, you can operate in one way for a very long time just under the assumption that you're doing a good job, but if you don't get that communication, that feedback from those landowners, you may be going, you know, you may be doing some damage that's irreversible. So yes, communication is definitely a huge tool in how we guide the way that we manage.
What's the agreement? What's that structure? Because I think that probably helps to explain what that decision process is, and/or.
Sure. Every landowner has a different structure, but yes, the basis is we lease from almost everyone. But if we do have to take on some of those responsibilities, and we can see that that's not part of their agenda to take on those responsibilities, we do that. But then we, you know, use that to, you know, have lease payment. And so we feel like we're investing in the future. We are taking on those responsibilities. We're taking that burden off of their hands. But you know, there's feedback that they know how far it's going, and you know, where it's being spent and things like that.
As more generations in the family came along, you instead of selling the ranch, there was different ownerships of the ranch, but part of the family, your dad and you, have created a business model that operates the lands for the rest of the people that are descendants of your great-great-grandfather. Is that correct? And
Yes,
so that's the model that y'all have used, which is pretty unique. But one sector of the family manages the lands that are still owned by other family members.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and there's varying degrees on responsibility that different parts of the family want to take on, and you just have to fit in with those goals of those people.
Do you get a lot of pressure or any pressure from some of the absentee owners for selling the ranch and trying to basically liquidate? I know that in our circumstance, we've been sort of given the model that the land is not producing or not returning the kind of return to the potential owners that some other investment would. Do you get that from any of your absentee owners, especially in some of the later generations that might be separated from the ranch?
Yes, the agricultural production value on Caliche Hills between Comfort and Fredericksburg obviously isn't, something that's going to be attractive as a, asset standpoint. It has to sustain itself. It has to pay for the improvements, and there has to be a general, progressive improvement to the property, and that can be done over, if they have the patience, it can be done over the long term, practically and sustainably as far as us making a living there, and ecologically. We give a large bunch of credit to our goats being there over 100 years because, as you know, ash juniper in our area takes over, and that's, as far as failure to pass land from one generation to the next, if the fences are bad and the roads are bad and it's grown up in cedar, it doesn't, paint a very bright picture for the next generation to take it on. It's a lot of responsibility all at once. So if we can, manage those responsibilities and turn it around into a more sustainable fashion, we feel like that will take that pressure off of those landowners' desires to sell. But it's an asset that's definitely appreciating.
Real estate valuations increasing in your part of the world haven't had an impact on people's attitude?
It does, but then it also, presents an opportunity. We have, people that buy it because they know they have their money tied up in an asset that's appreciating, and what the land makes as far as livestock production or hunting production is not, the primary focus for a lot of these landowners. And so if as long as they feel like we are operating in a sustainable fashion, that meets their interests, I feel like that we can stay there and continue managing.